It doesn't just happen. Your anxiety follows a pattern, the same pattern, every single time. Once you see it, you can interrupt it. Today I'm going to show you the exact anatomy of an anxiety spiral. What happens in your mind, what happens in your body, and most importantly, where the whole thing can be stopped. Most people live their entire lives inside these spirals without ever seeing the architecture. They think each one is new, each one is proof something is wrong with them. It's not, it's mechanics, and mechanics can be understood. You're about to see it, let's break it down. What is a spiral? An anxiety spiral is what happens when one anxious thought triggers another, which triggers another, which triggers a body response, which triggers more thoughts, until you're completely overwhelmed by something that started as almost nothing. It's a feedback loop. Mind feeds body, body feeds mind, and it accelerates. Here's what it usually looks like. You have a thought. Maybe it's about work, maybe your health, maybe something you said 3 days ago that keeps replaying. That thought creates a feeling, a small tightness, a flutter in your chest, a weight. Your brain notices. Why do I feel this way? Something must be wrong. Now you're thinking about the feeling. The feeling gets stronger, and suddenly you're not thinking about the original thing anymore. You're thinking about the fact that you can't stop thinking. That's the spiral. But here's what most people don't realize. This isn't chaos. It has stages, predictable, identifiable stages. Let me show you the 5 phases of every anxiety spiral. The 5 phases. Phase 1, the trigger. Something happens, externally or internally, that your brain flags as a potential threat. The trigger could be anything. A thought that appears from nowhere. A sensation in your body you can't explain. A word someone says that lands wrong. A memory that surfaces without permission. Or just a question. What if? The trigger itself is usually small, neutral even, but your brain doesn't experience it that way. At this moment, you're not in a spiral yet. You're standing at a fork in the road. One path leads to the spiral, the other doesn't. Most people don't even see the fork. They're already walking. Here's the key. The trigger is almost never the problem. The problem is what happens next. Most people try to avoid triggers. That's impossible. Your brain generates thousands of thoughts a day. You can't control what pops up. What you can control is the response. But first, let's see what usually happens. Phase 2, the interpretation. Your brain takes the trigger and assigns it meaning. Not just I noticed this thought, but this thought means something. This thought is dangerous. This thought is a warning. This happens in milliseconds. You don't consciously choose it. It's automatic. For overthinkers, the interpretation is almost always catastrophic. A chest flutter becomes, what if my heart is failing? A friend's silence becomes, they hate me, I ruined it, it's over. A thought about tomorrow becomes, what if I can't handle it? What if everything collapses? What if I'm not strong enough? The interpretation inflates the trigger. It turns a spark into a wildfire. And here's where your body gets involved, because your nervous system believes every story your brain tells. Phase 3, the body response. Your nervous system doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. It responds to your interpretation as if it's fact. So when your brain says danger, your body mobilizes, your heart rate climbs, your breathing shortens, your muscles lock, adrenaline floods your system. You feel it everywhere, dizziness, nausea, a tightness in your throat like you can't pull in enough air. Your body is preparing you to fight or run, but there's nothing to fight, nowhere to run. Now your brain notices these sensations, the racing heart, the tight chest, and it interprets them as proof. I'm feeling this way because something is wrong. The body response becomes a new trigger, which creates a new interpretation, which creates a stronger body response. The loop is now running. Phase 4, the mental spiral. The thoughts start piling. Why can't I stop this? What is wrong with me? I am losing my mind. This is never going to end. I can't live like this. I can't. I can't. I can't. You're no longer thinking about the original trigger. You're thinking about the fact that you can't stop thinking. And because you're now focused on the spiral becomes the threat. Your brain is trying to solve the problem of anxiety by thinking harder about anxiety. It's like trying to put out a fire by pouring gasoline on it. The harder you try to think your way out, the deeper you sink. Phase 5, the exhaustion. Eventually, the spiral doesn't end because you solved it. It ends because you ran out of fuel. Your body can't sustain that level of activation. The system crashes, the adrenaline fades, the intensity drops, and you're left with nothing, drained, hollow, numb, like someone pulled the plug and all the life drained out. And here's the dangerous part. Your brain learns the wrong lesson. It thinks, the threat passed, we survived, the anxiety saved us. So next time a trigger appears, the whole cycle is primed to run again. Faster, stronger, the spiral becomes muscle memory. So let's recap the anatomy. 1. The trigger. Something happens internally or externally. 2. The interpretation. Your brain assigns threat level meaning. 3. The body response. Your nervous system mobilizes. 4. The mental spiral. Thoughts pile on thoughts. The spiral becomes the threat. 5. The exhaustion. The system burns out, learns nothing, resets. That's the structure. That's what happens every single time. Now, where do you interrupt it? The 3 interruption windows. There are 3 places where you can interrupt a spiral. 3 windows, 3 moments where, if you know what to do, you can stop the loop before it takes over. The earlier you intervene, the easier it is. But even late intervention works. You are not powerless here. Window 1. Catching the interpretation. The first window is the most powerful. It's the split second between noticing and interpreting. Between I noticed something and this means something terrible. If you can catch yourself in that moment, if you can pause and ask one question, is this thought a fact or a fear? You can stop the spiral before it starts. This takes practice, but it's trainable. Window 2. Regulating the body. Even if the interpretation already ran, you can still interrupt the physical escalation. Slow your exhale, longer than your inhale. Feel your feet on the ground. Uncross your arms. Relax your jaw. These don't fix the thought, but they starve the loop. They stop your body from throwing gasoline on the fire. Window 3. Naming the spiral. The third window is awareness. Even when you're deep in the mental spiral, even when you're in phase 4, simply naming what's happening can create distance. This is a spiral. I've been here before. This is phase 4. It will pass. You're not stopping the thoughts. You're stepping outside them. That shift, from inside to outside, is often enough to let the air out. Here's what I want you to take from this. Your anxiety is not chaos. It's not random. It's not proof that you're broken. It's a pattern, a sequence, a reflex that runs the same way every time. And here's the truth about patterns. If it has a structure, it can be understood. If it can be understood, it can be anticipated. If it can be anticipated, it can be interrupted. That's not hope. That's mechanics. You don't have to be controlled by something you now understand. The spiral only has power when it's invisible, when it feels like chaos, when it feels like it's just happening to you. Now you've seen inside it. You know the 5 phases. You know the 3 windows. That changes everything. If you want to go deeper on this, if you want to see the full visual map of the overthinking loop and where to interrupt it, the Anxiety Enigma created something for you. It's called Anatomy of an Anxiety Spiral. It's a visual guide. The entire pattern laid out so you can see it clearly. Reference it when you need it. It's free. Link is in the description. And if you're ready to actually train this, to build the skill of catching spirals early, to regulate your nervous system, to rewire how your brain responds to triggers, that's what the 30-day overthinking detox is for. The full system, daily practice, real change. Link is below if you're ready. Your anxiety has been running the same pattern your whole life. Now you've seen the anatomy. The next spiral doesn't have to end the same way.